Hello everyone, folks. Today we will have the final part on processing the material from Mikhail's parcel. This is which parcel came from America. Let's see what the output will be today with each material, and let's get started. These are the interesting chips. I haven't processed these yet. I think the content is very rich. Here are 31 such small pieces, here are 9 such large pieces. Further, the contacts are such spring gilded, there are 48 grams of them here. And here is such a rich material, too. I think in terms of the content of memory chips 15 grams from RAM. These are the bridges of Broadcom. MKey also the total weight here is 77 grams, of which Broadcom 51 grams and 26 grams are the usual bridges. There are different here are such MKey. Next, Sishka. These are interesting chips. Here we will add 21 grams of them at once, and 15 grams of chips from the RAM will also be added here. We'll process it all together. Let's see what the output will be. Here's a little thing like that. There are interesting microchips here, filled with some kind of carbide. This is not plastic. These are the transistors. Here we will add a little material somewhere. These are the panels for microchips. There are 3 types of them here, completely taken care of with bushings. Here are 100 grams of such panels for microchips. By the way, the others he sent are empty. These are the chips. By the way, they all contain gilding inside and are quite so greasy. Together with such large chips, there are 84 pieces here. Then here is such a rich material. These are small microbes. There are 28 of them here, like Soviet opto-couplers, and these are healthy, still completely gold-plated microcircuits. And here, by the way, there are also 2 small pieces that are completely gilded. And first of all, we will probably start with these materials. Let's take these chips, then bridges with chips and this material for recycling. This will probably be the first part. Now I'm going to grind these. They are very brittle, I'll crumble them. Further here, my total weight was 112 grams. Now we need to remove these solder balls from here, from this surface. They will interfere with the process, so we pour 90 milliliters of distilled water, then 15 grams of citric acid. And here we add 60 milliliters of nitric acid with a density of 1:4. With this mixture, I only process chips and the SMD component. It is not suitable to handle, for example, from the solder of the board there with care. Dissolves everything. So well, everything seems to have dissolved, and we carefully pour it out. Now I will mix and wait until all the balls completely dissolve. And now I will remove all the conclusions from this material by the acid method, so that they do not interfere with our processing. So, well, 40 minutes have passed. The conclusions from the microcircuits completely dissolved. I also washed. Now, as for the bridges are also ready for further processing. I will do the same now with bridges and chips. The contacts are crushed and it is easiest to etch the base, since there is little metal and no solder. To do this, I will use a 2-liter glass, 100 milliliters of water and pour 180 milliliters of nitric acid with a density of 1:4 here. It is also 67%. We forget about safety precautions. We protect the respiratory organs from acid vapors, we protect our eyes, we protect our hands and, in principle, we can already pour the material. After about 15 minutes, everything dissolved in a golden foam like this surfaced. Now I will dilute it with water and we will filter it. So, well, this is what flour looks like from under bridges and chips. It's gray. How many times I have not calcined it, but the color does not change, so this color is not because of coal. Now we need to take the silver from here and remove it, transfer the copper into a solution. So, we put it on a sand bath and pour water. The first thing is water. And now we add nitric acid in small portions. I took 50 milliliters here. I have the same 67% in this video will be used. I will pour to find out the expense. So, well, the dissolution has already started and we are waiting until the reaction stops. I will add it gradually. "15 minutes passed, all the copper and silver went into solution and the consumption of nitric acid was 65 milliliters. And by tradition, we check the solution for the presence of silver. Here I have prepared a saturated solution of table salt. So, we're pouring in. The solution is washed, it remains to mix. And here is such flour from two-sided microchips. We also cover it with water. We will make a magnetic part together with flour in order to completely take the gold from the flour and from the magnetic part. Here I will immediately add 40 milliliters of sulfuric acid with a density of 1:4. Let it heat up. So, well, the solution of sulfuric acid boiled together with the material. I typed 25 milliliters of nitric acid into the measuring cylinder and poured it in small portions. We also need to dissolve the excess metal. very carefully, so that the foam does not rise sharply. So well, the reaction was completed and the consumption of nitric acid was 35 milliliters. The material on the filter dried up, transferred it to a glass of 600 milliliters. So, we pour 30 milliliters of water here. Now our task is to extract the golden hairs, gold foil, everything completely into the solution. So, we pour here 25 milliliters of nitric acid 67% and add here 6 grams of ammonium chloride. This is an analog of royal vodka. This mixture also dissolves gold quite well. And now you need to heat it up. Well, we see the color changes, turns yellow, because the metal goes into solution. Well, now I leave it to boil for about 5 minutes. We put it to heat. The solution has almost boiled and we check for the presence of nitric acid products. Add urea granules. Well, as we can see, it sinks to the bottom and there is practically no reaction. So, we add a reducing agent, a saturated solution of hydrazine hydrochloric acid. So, and as we can see, the golden foam has already surfaced. Now everything will sink to the bottom and there will be a sediment. Let it boil, then I'll show you. And we do the same with flour from under bridges and chips. Since the weight is similar to a two-sided chip. 30 milliliters of water, 25 milliliters of nitric acid, 67% and 6 grams of ammonium chloride, and we mix and heat the whole thing. We also put it to heat. We check the reaction of the solution with urea. Well, as with the first solution, it sinks to the bottom of the crystals and practically does not react. Very weak reaction. Mix and add the reducing agent. Saturated solution of hydrochloric acid hydrazine. Here's how in the first case, a golden foam appeared on the surface of the solution. The gilding easily separated from the filter paper. I transferred it to a glass, moistened it with water so that it would not fly apart, and let's dissolve it in royal vodka now. Said gently pour. The expense, of course, will be completely different. Well, that's it, everything has dissolved. The consumption of royal vodka was only 5 milliliters. Now I will look at the solution. If it is cloudy, then we will filter it. If not, we will immediately dilute it with water and restore it. Interestingly, the solution is so dark, as if it contains palladium or platinum, so I decided now to heat it up before crystallization. The remainder is dissolved in water. Please note, after evaporation, there is no longer such a brown color. Let's filter it out now. We put it to heat. The solution from the gilding is clean enough, so we will make the deposition with ascorbic acid solution. In 10 milliliters of water, I dissolved 1 whole 4/10 of a gram of powder. So we're pouring in. And finally, the richest material, from which I have an interesting way out, too. Now let's see how they fight, these ceramic chips. By the way, they fight very easily. Now we need to prepare an acidic mixture to etch out the entire magnetic base. I take a 2-liter glass, 100 milliliters of electrolyte with a density of 1 in 4, well, sulfuric acid. Here I pour 150 milliliters of water and 50 milliliters of nitric acid 67%. So well, the mixture is already floating. Do not forget about safety precautions, because there is a lot of stuff coming out of the glass. And pour in small portions of crushed micrux. The first window has popped up. After about 40 minutes, the reaction stopped, all the metal was etched, and 50 milliliters of nitric acid were added additionally. Now I will dilute it with water, but we will continue to work. Well, according to tradition, we check the solution for silver. I pour a saturated solution of table salt. We are looking. There was a lot of silver in these micrux. Look at the milk. Still falls out. Here it is already cottage cheese appears. The material from the filter transferred the glass to 600 milliliters, and now we are performing all the manipulations, as we did with the bridges. 30 milliliters of water, 25 milliliters of nitric acid and 6 grams of ammonium chloride. And we mix the whole thing up. We put it to heat. The solution is already hot. We check the reaction of the solution with urea. As you can see, the crystal sinks to the bottom and there is no gas release. And drop by drop we add a saturated solution of hydrazine hydrochloric acid. Let's summarize the results. Let's see what the results are. So, let's start with the most probably interesting. These are ceramic chips. Somewhere there were only 41 of them. And look at the result. Here is such a wealth. Here are such fat chips. 1.5 grams. The second is bridges. Well, there were only 55 grams of bridges with a substrate, the rest were chips. Here is the result for bridges plus chips of 0.5 gram. The next result is spring contacts of 48 grams. Also not bad. .06 almost. Then there are two-sided chips. On the surface, they seem to be rich. Let's see. Here is the result for two-sided chips. Well, there are car parks, well, in fact, not so rich. And I didn't even shoot the latest material. The same thing is basically happening there, and it came out somewhere. I have 10 rubles there, probably all this recycling. Weak panels. Well, we look. Here is the result. Well, that's it, we collect. And this is the end result. Here is the result, also the rest from the parcel. Small ones. What an ending, friends. Here is the result from the parcel. There are 2 more materials, but this is probably going to be processed in another part, but they are very poor, so I did not come up with what to combine them with. Here is the result. And support this video with a like. Good luck to everyone, bye to everyone.